You know what's funny? I listened to so many people growing up telling me that I didn't have a lot of time. Your young years won't last. Your time to do that will run out at some point, just like me or just like the rest of us. And the older I get, the more I realize that we actually have the time to do pretty much anything we want. Over the past couple of years, I've gotten more into reading actual books. There are some behind me. And audiobooks, which is something that, to be honest with you, I would honestly never have thought I'd get into. Because back when I was in middle school and high school, the most reading that I would do was Spark Notes. Like I would just Spark Notes the book, come to class, hope that would work, and it kind of got me through. Sometimes I got caught up in some situations, as we all probably have. But as time went on, I never really thought I'd go back to reading because I never had a really good experience with it in school. That said, I also grew up in a time with this massive explosion of social media and this age of instant information where you can just look something up and have the answer, have the video, have the experience in a matter of seconds. Think about it. Why spend more time reading a book for information or to learn something when you could just look up a book summary or look up the main points and have it like this? Now, my reasoning lately is more so because I want to be able to interpret it my way versus have somebody else or have an AI interpret it for me, which could be spun with a certain spin for a certain narrative. So I'd rather just make my own narrative in my own head. But that's besides the point. What I've learned through reading in my own trial and error through my own experiences now is I've read a lot of things, I've taken a step back, I've implemented some of those things in my life, and then I've also thought back to when I was doing this or when I was doing that and what I felt and how this experience was for me. Is I've learned that we crave and we are actually addicted in a sense to the knowns, the feelings, the experiences, the people, the things that we have already experienced, the things that we already know that we can call upon, whether that's going back to that same person, whether that's feeling the same way that you did when you did this thing, because we know it. We're wired to keep going back to that thing, even if we don't think that that thing is necessarily the best for us. It's like an addiction almost, but we still go back to it. Patience in today's world, I believe, is quickly becoming an unknown. But what if it doesn't happen? But what if I don't make it? But what if I don't get the job? So rather than bother to wait for the unknown, we go back to the knowns because we already know how we're going to feel, what it's going to make us do, how much money we're going to make. Our body naturally seeks these things because they're consistently constant. So the formula, I believe, to achieve anything new is actually quite simple. Do something different over a period of time and get a new result. That can be applied in your own life. That could be applied in the world in general, because if everyone's only done something one way and someone or a group comes along and does something differently, we might get a new result as a whole or as a society, as a world. But how does one develop this ability to do something over a period of time? So abstract. Like there's no defined time period. Like, I don't know. It's who knows? But that's essentially the same thing as saying developing patience. Patience is the unknown. So how do we do it? First things first, rather than following or copying someone else, listening to yourself or going your own route that you think is cool or you think is interesting or that you're like, I wonder what would happen if I did this. Well, that's a great start. Doing this with small things first will allow you to get used to the unknown, but with almost no downside. And from there, you'll be able to train yourself to take bigger and bigger steps, live more and more and more in the unknown, and then therefore develop this thing called patience. For example, you can ask the cashier at the grocery store how his or her weekend was. Something like, yeah, hi, how's it going? That's it. Like, that's what we know. We do that all the time. But if you just say, hey, how was your weekend? Now you're engaging in conversation. You're asking them instead of them asking you. That's different. What's going to happen? I don't know. Do I want to know? I don't know. But that's an amazing start. You can try a new route for a run that you've never gone before. You could try a new machine at the gym. You could read a book. Maybe you're just like me. You're like, I didn't really want to read. Let's try it. I don't know what'll happen. And that turns out that I kind of liked it. You might not realize it, but these things are all building the patience muscle that will allow you to get stronger and take bigger leaps of faith over time. So what I found is that it's not that you don't have time. There's no rush. It's that you're just addicted to what you already know.